How are you doing? All right, nice. Are they practicing with Angelo? Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. I'm doing well. How's it going, Josh? Did you say somebody beat Germany? Oh my gosh. I'm losing all sorts of money this year. That's what I get for betting on World Cup games. Serves me right. I'm trying to figure out a way to record this. I'm getting on my Teams account, see if I can figure out how to get it to where I can record it. It looked like there were several people that were going to join, so that's good. We've got 11. All right, it's just shortly after 6:30. We'll give it a couple more minutes, I believe. Based on what I saw in play metrics, most I think there was going to be I think there was going to be 14 maybe. I'll try to be cognizant of your all's time also. Okay, so yeah, we got 13 with one as a maybe. Are Arya's parents on here? No. All right. Cool. All right. I'm going to start it here in one more minute, and those who aren't on will just have to catch up. All right. We'll go ahead and get this party started here. Thank you all for your time this evening. I've spoken with most everybody on the phone or in person by this point, but just want to sort of introduce myself to those that I haven't seen before, and then kind of give a little background on me and sort of the things that I already know that we're going to go through this year. So, first, who am I? So, I'm Chris Shoemate. I've been with the club since the first year of it. So this is going into my fourth year with One Knox, and I started out on the boys' side. I coached a high school boys team in the fall of the first year, and then I went over to the girls' side where former pro player, now current coach. James Thomas and I joined together, and he and I coached two girls teams in that fall, or sorry, in that spring. And I've been on the girls side ever since. So I have a USSF B license that I got a little over a year ago. Um, it's one of the highest licenses you can get in U.S. soccer. That doesn't necessarily make me a great coach. It just shows that I put time in to try to improve myself. I know heck of a lot better coaches with less credentials, and I know a heck of a lot worse coaches with more credentials than me. So, licensing is those things that it takes time and effort to get, and that's one of the things that I do. I take this part-time job seriously. I have a son who you and the players will hear me reference quite a bit from time to time. He's been playing for 12 years, and I played as a youth, and then he kind of got me back into it, coaching. So I use him as an example a lot of times, just because of how long he's played. He's 16. He's been playing for 12 years. So, as well as the U.S. Soccer Federation B license, I've also completed the United Soccer Coaches Premier Diploma. I started the Premier Diploma before COVID, and then COVID happened, and that course, while I finished it up, it took a turn in a very weird way that the Premier course doesn't take anymore. So I also have experience coaching futsal. For those of you that don't know what futsal is, the simplest way to describe it is soccer on a gym floor, basically, with a slightly different ball. It's a low bounce ball. I've coached it, trained, played, and did quite a bit of refereeing several years ago. I've refereed regional events within futsal. So soccer is not the only game that I coach and know a little bit about. But so my style of play is very much possession based. I don't like kickball. So you'll see a lot of possession, a lot of moving the ball around. I like to get all 11 players on the field involved. I stand behind my style of play in possession and build up, and that it is the best way to train young players, such as your daughters, to play. As players get older, going into something more direct might be necessary depending on the players that you have. But at this age that they're at, it's just much more rewarding to see the ball move through the thirds of the field, and having every player involved throughout the build-up. Um, so one of the things that we do in each of the thirds is play with one another. We look to get out of the defending third as quick as possible. But just because we look to get out of the defending third as quick as possible doesn't mean we just boot it up. Um, so we look to make connecting passes, passing the ball into space, making runs. Um, the hardest positions really to play for me is the central defensive midfielder and the fullback positions, just because of what I demand from the fullbacks and the CDM. I'm very much an attacking style coach in that while we may not high press with all 10 field players inside the attacking third, we will have the 10 attacking players in the attacking half when the ball is in that half. Um, so that's one of the things that I just like for people to know, that I love to attack. I'm not gonna park the bus too often. There have been times that I've done it, but I'm not a big fan of just parking the bus. I want to attack. I want to get goals. I want players to get goals. That's what makes it exciting. So my why, as far as why I coach, specifically on the girl side, since James and I started working together, I got a big heart on the girl side. Just the underrepresentation of females in the female game. So one of the things that I want to do is continue to develop your players, your daughters, to continue to love the game, and maybe one day they'll become a coach. Maybe one day they'll become a player, as at a professional level or as a club administrator. I mean, it sounds weird to say it, being a male coaching females, but I would love to see your daughters in maybe 10 years or so time come and take my job, right? Me not have a job because your daughters are coaching on the girls side. There's the women are underrepresented in sports regardless, but we definitely need more young female athletes to step up into leadership positions, and part of that is um, young ladies getting the opportunity, which is something that doesn't happen too often, even still in this day and age that we're living in. So, um, I like to say that I'm a fair coach, but I also will say that I'm not always the easiest to deal with. Um, as far as the players go, I tend to hold players to a higher standard, especially ones that I know. So Sylvie's on here, and Sylvie played for me last year, so I'll pick on her a little bit. I will never hold a player to the same standard as Sylvie, because Sylvie's standard is a different standard than everyone else's. Okay. So while I may, and I'll pick on Fia a little bit also because I've coached Fia's sister for the past 2 years, and Fia has guest played for me. I know what Fia and Sylvie are both capable of. I also know what they're not capable of, and I know where I can help push them. So there may be times where you, as other parents, may be like, man, Coach Chris is being a difficult person out here. He's being mean to Sylvie. When the fact is, I may be being mean to Sylvie, but her and I have that relationship that she knows I'm doing it because I care for her. So my biggest thing is getting to know getting to know what makes your daughters tick, right? Like, I know there are things that I can say to Sylvie that if I said to Fia would like legit kick me in the shins when I wasn't looking. Okay. And that's just how I coach. I want to meet each of your players where they are and get to meet them and know them who they are. What makes Bella tick, may shut down another player, right? And I have to spend time with them on the field getting to know that. And that's one of the things that I'm going to do throughout this time. It's something I take very serious with my coaching is the relationships with the players. Um, so our team makeup, I've got an agenda here, and I'll send it out whenever we're finished. Our team makeup, we've got Marianne Peltz. She's going to be our team manager. So she'll be handling the administrative stuff, and she'll be working with me through my schedule to determine like any additional games and tournament options that we may have in store, or we may be thinking about. There, I know at the beginning of the season, back when it was going to be two separate teams, there was discussion about William coming in and taking over once the high school season started. To be candid, I don't know what that plan is right now as far as William is concerned. None of that has been communicated with everything else going on. But there is a good chance that we will have an assistant coach helping out. And it'll, especially whenever the high school season starts. So if it's not William, there is someone who I have been talking to and who the club has been talking to and has been kind of vetted by the club and vetted by me. Conversations have already happened with this person, but once we know like when it's official and such, then I'll be able to share more about that. I know some of the players that were on the team last year, there were a handful of issues with two different coaches not being at the same game, and there were issues with that, and that's not happening this year. Okay, so just wanted to let you all know, and the person that I've been talking to is someone that I'm comfortable with. And I think once most people get to know this person, they'll be comfortable also. Um, Looking at our roster, we currently have 17 players. We should be adding one more. My understanding is there's a player that came to the kickabout that we had. What's that, a week and a half ago now? She is wanting to be added to the team, and I think Ryan has sent out that information to them. She's not on the roster yet, but she is coming. In looking at our roster, we have 5 under 14s. So we have 5 players that are in that older age group. We have 11 U13s, and we actually have one U12. So the one U12 barely misses the U13. And we actually have 3 U13s who just barely miss U14. So I think overall, even though we're going to be a young team and competing in the under 14 age group, I'm excited about the season. There's a lot of unknowns, of course, and just to be fair and transparent with everybody, if you are expecting this team to go in and win every game, and if your measurement of success is on wins and losses, you need to go ahead and find another measure of success. I'm going to do everything I can to prepare these girls to win. But I don't have a controller plugged into their back. And I can't make them do plays that I want them to do. But I'm going to do the best I can with them. So just want to kind of give that caveat out there to you all and set that expectation that we are going to try our best to win. But if wins are all you're focused on, I may be a very bad coach for you. Because while I like winning, the development of these young players and getting them to the next level is something that means a little bit more to me. So, our skill levels vary quite a bit. One of the things that I had sent out that thankfully most of you have done, there's still a handful that haven't yet, but we currently have no primary goalkeeper. We have one person that filled out the thing so far, that they have a secondary position as a goalkeeper. So, and then we also have one person that expressed interest in trying goalkeeper. So the problem with having with one person that's willing to try it and one person who has a secondary position as goalkeeper is we don't have a full-time goalkeeper. So which it would be great if we had 2 or 3 part-time keepers, because really if we have a couple of part-time keepers, then to be honest, whoever goes in the first half as goalkeeper, unless they're dying on the field, will play the entire second half of the game. And the person that plays goalkeeper in the second half, unless they're dying, will probably play the entire first half. Just because the need for a goalkeeper is great. So just kind of wanted to put that out there. If you have a player who thinks that they would like to try goalkeeper, that would be wonderful. The more help we can get on that, the better it'll be. And it's kind of an enticing way of saying, hey, you can have an opportunity to play the entire game if you want to play goalkeeper one half. Because I will keep you on the field. I will stay true to my word unless you want to come off. So, so far I've introduced myself and we've had the talk about the team makeup. Before we get into like training sessions and expectations, okay. All right, so we're going to go over training sessions, the expectations. We're going to talk about game day expectations, and then I'm going to go into some information on the National One League. So if at any point you have questions during this, if you want to like type them into the chat, I'll see them pop up. That'd be fine. Or you can ask me a little bit later whenever I finish. But one of the big things for me is punctuality. So when it comes to training sessions and expectations, punctuality and communication are key. So I know that you all have jobs just like I do, day jobs and such that take up part of your time. So while punctuality is very important to me, communicating when like you're going to be a little bit late or whatever is goes a long way with me, especially as I look to start the training sessions and such. The proper training kit, so that we look uniform, is kind of a big thing. Now, a lot of players, they don't like to wear shin guards. If your player don't want to wear a shin guard, I'm not going to make them. That's up to them. And you all as parents, there's a lot of players that never wear shin guards unless they're in games. That's their prerogative. They get kicked in the shin and come crying to me. I'm just going to ask them where their shin guards are. So, but as far as the training kit, need to show up to training each time in the proper uniform. As far as our training sessions go, it looks like we're going to have 3 training sessions, and they're all currently set up right now to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday and Monday is going to be right now from 6:45 to 8 out at UT Rec where the tryouts were. On Tuesday, they'll be from 6:45 to 8 out at Mayor Bob Leonard Park, which is out in Farragut. And then on Wednesday, it'll be from 5:30 to 6:45 back there at the UT Rec Complex where we tried out. Always, 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 please update your players' availability. There is a cutoff in play metrics that I believe is either 8 or 12 hours. So if you go in at lunchtime and to try to change the players' attendance, it won't let you. So you'll just need to send a message saying whether or not they'll be able to make it. That way I can change it on the back end. As far as last minute changes, communicate that with me and such. One thing, as far as me as a coach, also, like a lot of people, I have some deeply held convictions that some people may or may not like. But Wednesday nights, your player will not be practice will not be held against them if they do attend a worship service. Now, I will say this. If you lie to me about attending a worship service and I find out you're lying, then you'll be in trouble. Okay. And I'm sure ever do anything like that. However, there are teenagers that will talk about going to church service, and then I find out later through their friends who rat them out that they weren't there. Okay. So if you do attend worship service weekly or bi-weekly, your playing time will not be held against you. I know you may not hear that from very many club coaches, or I mean, you definitely won't hear that from high school coaches. But for me, that's a personal conviction of mine. There are things in this life, in my opinion, that are more important than youth soccer. So, when do practices start? Great question. In play metrics, they already have them starting the first week of August. So our very first practice is going to be Monday the 3rd. So that'll be when our first one is. So we'll be picking up 3 days a week then. I know that most of these players are going to be playing middle school soccer. So during middle school soccer season, the players expected to be at as many practices as possible. If the player has to miss because of a middle school soccer game, just please communicate that information. Like I said, my son played middle school soccer and played club soccer also. I get it. I'm not one of the club coaches that is going to hound you or discipline your child for not being at a game, or sorry, for not being at practice because they were at a middle school game. That's just not who I am. And then one of the big things also about attending as many practices as you can, there's a big emphasis this year. The more training sessions that your player attends, the better their chances are of improvement. There have been several times in the past where players, especially young players, they'll go to the directors and coach and they'll complain, my child hasn't grown to where I think they should be. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? And then upon investigation, your kid hadn't been at practice, but like half or less than half the times. So it's like, yeah, your kid's not going to get better if they're not putting in the work at practice because they're not at practice. So that's one of the things that has been talked about a lot within this season and such is getting your kids to training. So that's one of the things that we want to help out. We want to get your players improving on the ball, whether it's technical, tactical, every aspect of the game. But they have to be there in order to really to continue to develop and mesh together as a team. um, this goes back to one of the things I said earlier. You know, I know that you all have jobs and your players aren't driving themselves, so I won't punish them for being late. If they are late, okay, as soon as they get in that parking lot and you put your car in park, I want their butts running to the field. Okay, they're not driving. They have no excuse to show up to practice in their slides when they're late. Okay, they can have their cleats on and get out of the car and run and join practice. Okay. That's one thing that really winds me up is whenever players are late and they take their sweet time getting ready to get on the field while we're in the middle of getting or while we're warming up and stuff. They're sitting over there, they're checking their phone and and not getting ready. And that's something that has happened quite a bit. And I've tried to be nice and I've tried to be mean, and neither way seemed to work last year with a couple of players. So if you are going to be late, please have them have their shoes on and kick them out of the vehicle and have them running to get to practice. I want to see urgency. I want to know that they want to be there. So as far as game day expectations, arrive no less than 45 minutes before kickoff. You know, if you're going to be late to the game because of traffic, um, I live in Knoxville. I'm from Knoxville. I've lived here my entire life. I can remember when traffic was nowhere near what it was. I have learned to navigate through Knoxville in such a time that I know if I have to be at some place, I have to leave by this time. If you're perpetually late, I need you to learn not to be perpetually late because it will hinder your players' playing time. That's one of the things, especially whenever we are out at tournaments or at out of town games. Um, it was very frustrating to me the years that I've been coaching how we can all be at the same hotel and the exact same parents can always be 15 minutes late getting to the game. Right? I'm a parent like you all. When my son's not ready, I get him ready. And I get him ready in a way that he doesn't like. And I have my wife to back me up with that also. Okay. Bring all the kits to each and every game. We have a black kit, a blue kit, and an alternate white kit this year. Please come to each game with the proper uniform and the extras just in case. We ran into a lot of issues last year with colors, and thankfully we added a white this year. I say thankfully only because I didn't have to buy it since my son's not at One Knox anymore. But we ran into a lot of issues with referees and such. So one of my big asks is no coaching from the sidelines. I know it's going to be tempting, but don't. That's one thing that really winds me up as Marianne and Brandon can both attest to. Unfortunately, I will not hesitate to call out a parent from across the field. I've done that before, especially when you're engaging with the referee. Never, I do not care what your reason is, engage with the referee. If you engage with the referee, you will leave the sideline at my request. Okay. I was almost suspended last year because a parent asked an innocent question to a ref. I didn't know anything about this until afterwards, till I got the email. A parent, an innocent parent, one of the nicest people I know, asked a referee a question after the game, and the referee didn't acknowledge him. And he said something about it, and she reported it to the state. And if he had not self-reported to the state, I was going to be suspended for 3 games, and those 3 games were at the end of the year. So I would not have been on the sideline for either team that I was coaching last year. There really is a zero tolerance for referees, especially minors. I don't care if you're the world-class referee and you know everything there is to know about soccer. Keep your mouth shut to the referees. Everybody got it. That I want to be, that and the coaching from the sidelines, I really want to be clear about. One thing I do want you to do is cheer for your team, or cheer for your player, and cheer for our team, right? That's one of the things I want. If your kid does something great, I want you to cheer for them. If they do something that's not great, encourage them. All right. Let me be the bad guy. Okay. You all are paying what you're paying for me to be the bad guy and for you to be the parent. My relationship with my son became a whole lot better when I was no longer his coach and I was just his dad on the sideline. A whole lot better because I learned to keep my mouth shut and let his coaches be the bad guys. After games and such, this even, especially for tournaments, especially if we get beat pretty bad, 24-hour cool off, no matter how mad you get at me, 24 hours to chill. All right. So we can all collect our thoughts. One of the big things that One Knox does is they want us to reflect and give them game match reports and such. So that's something that I will have to do after games and after weekends. With everything that has gone on the girls' side, we're really intentional about building this program in such a way that people regret their decision leaving and they want to come back because they're going to hear how great the culture is, even if we're getting battered, because some of those other teams are also getting battered just by different opponents in different states. So before I go into the National One League, anybody have any questions, comments, anything? All right, great. So as far as National One League, we are in District 4. Games will begin the week of August the 15th. It is a 10-month regular season. So we will go all the way from August 15th until May when the regular season ends. According to the folks at the state, there are 7 teams in our district. So we will have a total of 12 matches. We will play each team home and away. And then excuse me, several times in the past, like with some of these leagues, if you don't make the playoffs, you have a showcase event. Well, with this, the winner of each age group in the district will go on to the playoffs. There's currently nothing scheduled for a showcase. Depending on how the season goes, we may be looking at doing another option as far as for a tournament or something at the end if we end up not qualifying for the playoffs. The tentative schedule is supposed to be released tomorrow to Ryan and Claudia. And that schedule that will be released to them is the weekends and the opponents that we will play. So while we will know what weekends we will be playing until Ryan and Claudia get the game scheduled with the field and such, and until our opponents get it scheduled, we won't know what time and what location. Now, for us here in Knoxville, most of our games will either be at UT or at Watt Road at the Mayor Bob Leonard Fields. So that's our home base. So that's where our games will be, unless for some reason it has to be moved. And the only other place we've ever played, two places that we've ever played it has been at McPhee Park, which is close to Mayor Bob Leonard, as as well as Eagleton High School out in Blount County. Excuse me. Our district is mainly Tennessee, which means we're going to be playing other Tennessee teams. I know that was a question that a couple of people had is, like what's the travel and such going to look like? Well, based on the teams that are signed up, we will have a Memphis opponent, and then everybody else is Nashville besides us, Nashville area besides us. So hopefully we'll be able to get the Memphis team to meet us halfway. Some Memphis teams aren't like that. Some Memphis teams want you to drive all the way to them, and in which case we'll reciprocate and make them drive all the way to us. So, because I'm petty like that. This is the highest the highest team-based league that there is as far as in the nation goes. So, as far as like Tennessee State League is concerned, this is because it's also a state level or a team-based league. This league that we're in is essentially higher than D1 State League, which those of you that have been around soccer for a while, you can play a D3 State League team that could beat a D1 State League team, and you could, lose to a D2 team also. So it's kind of hard to know who's sandbagging and who isn't, as far as in some of these leagues. So I think the competition is going to be tough, but I believe that we'll grow as a part of it. One of the things that I want to do, and I'll speak with Mary Ann about this also, is even though we'll be playing teams in our district as far as for standings and such, I want to get out. I want to get to North Carolina, and I want to play a couple of teams in North Carolina. I want to play a couple of the teams in Virginia. Like schedule a weekend instead of doing a tournament where we pay, like $1,000 to go to a tournament. Let's pay, like $200 to go rent a couple of fields and pay referees and get in 2 games, one on a Saturday, one on a Sunday against a potential opponent that we might face, making it to playoffs, whatever. I have a pretty good relationship with with one of the coaches out in Clemson, that club out there. We had a really great competition with each other, and he and I kind of hit it off due to our soccer and futsal like affinity. So he and I have a pretty good relationship. So I'll be reaching out to him to try to get something going with them also in that Anderson, South Carolina area. A couple of key dates, and like I said, these will be in the notes that I'll send out, but on August 9th, this is already in the calendar. August 9th, we're playing a friendly out at Vulcan Park. If you're not familiar with Vulcan Park, it's in Maryville, close to Maryville College. We'll be playing a Blount United team. A good buddy of mine, good coaching buddy, his son and my son played futsal with each other and against each other. I've known Brian for 6 or 8 years. I've known him for a while. Just a really good guy. We try to play games against each other at least twice a year. So we'll be playing against them. I think he has a mixed age group also, of U13 and U14s. But it's always a good competition whenever we play against him. Every time we've played, it's been either person's game. On, as I mentioned, August the 15th, National 1 starts. We do have two tournaments that we're gonna be playing in. One is the FC Alliance North tournament, and that's August 29th through 30th. That'll be up in the Bristol, Johnson City area. So we'll be up there then. Then on August 10th is the Collective Cup. So we will also be playing in it. So those will be 2 weekends where we have tournaments scheduled that we'll need to plan for. I I don't know what Knox County or whatever county your player attends. I don't know when fall break is. Historically, it wouldn't surprise me if that's fall break. Um, oh my gosh, 15 minutes. Okay. I didn't realize this thing timed you, so I'm going to have to get to moving quick. Okay. Choir tournaments, spring tournaments will be announced at a later date, so we won't have to worry about those. Additional games and tournaments. Okay. Any additional games and tournaments requested, we'll definitely consider. The cost will be estimated out, and then that'll be additional team fees, right? So um, I know that the club fees went up so that the team fees could go down. And some of those fees will cover what One Knox is having us do, but anything extra will be additional team fees, and team fees cover mileage, lodging, meals per diem, which I rarely take, but it does include those. Um, team fees are separate from what you paid to One Knox. So I don't know who is and who isn't an impact player or who is or isn't on financial assistance. But but team fees are separate from that. And if at any point there's an issue, just reach out and kind of let me know when there'll be an issue. Playmetrics is our primary source of communication. So don't hesitate to send me a message through there through Playmetrics to let me know if whatever's going on. Like I say, if you got a miss or something's happening, and if it's private, you can send it on there. The only people that can see like private messages would be me and you, and if someone in club administration like logs in to see it, right? Which they have from time to time, and I'm okay with that. It's my protection and your protection, especially my protection. I'm real big on that. I've got to protect myself. I've got a career. I've got a family. I love coaching, and I'm not trying to run that on somebody misconstruing a cell phone text message that can possibly be deleted. So or manipulated. um, that's about all I have for right now. Since I realize I'm running out of time, I can be long winded, can I, Brandon? Yeah, you're being too nice there. Say we've got 12 minutes. If anybody has anything, if not, let y'all go and enjoy the rest of your evening. There isn't at this point. I do not know. Um, I hope so because that was really fun and it was great to get the players out and do that. So it's in between the two. All right. Okay. Well, if there's nobody else has anything, feel free to hop off. I'll stay on just because it's given me that option to stay on for another few more minutes. But otherwise, I'm looking forward to working with your player, getting to know you as parents, guardians, grandparents, whoever you all bring to the game. Um, I really am excited for this season. Coming off a great season last year. I'm really excited to get going. I'm bored out of my mind. So my wife is probably ready for me to get back on the soccer field because she's not used to me being at home this much. So, all right. Well, have a wonderful evening, everyone, and I'll get these notes sent out shortly. Thanks.